Now I'm going to show you how to make a three-dimensional infinite loop. Starting off, hit L on the keyboard, change the fill to none, change the stroke to black, and I'm going to hold shift and make a perfect circle. And then I'm going to change the stroke to be something thicker. Okay. Now I'm going to switch over to the reflect tool, which is part of the rotate tool. So you have to click and hold and go down, choose reflect, or hit O on the keyboard. Holding option, I'm going to click on the very right hand point. I'm going to choose copy. Then I'm going to select everything with the move tool, or the selection tool as they call it in Illustrator. And I'm going to command copy and then command paste behind, which is Apple B. Now if we see in our layers panel, we basically have two instances of these loops. We have the top loops and the bottom loops. So I'm going to leave the top loops turned off in the layers panel, and I'm going to click on the selection, the target, for one of the circles remaining. And what I'm going to do is, using the direct selection tool, A on the keyboard, and click on the bottom anchor and the right anchor, holding shift to select both of them. I'm going to delete. I'm going to do something similar but opposite on this side, the top and the left point instead of the bottom and the right. And again, I hold shift so that I can click on both of these points. So I get that. Now let's activate everything. And I'm going to select the whole thing and go to Object, Expand. Enter. And if you hit Apple Y, it should look like this. The next step is to offset these two pieces. So I'm going to click on the target for the first piece, and holding shift and using the selection tool, I'm going to hold shift, hit the up arrow once and the left arrow once. Conversely, on the bottom right hand slice, I'm going to do shift and choose the right arrow once and the down arrow once. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract this piece from this piece. So I'm going to click on the target for that and hold shift and click on the target for the other piece. And in the Pathfinder, which you can also find in Window, Pathfinder, I'm going to choose this button right here, minus back. Now watch what happens when I click that. Okay, that's not what I wanted. So if it looks like this, click undo, and I clicked on the wrong two layers. And that's a frequent mistake in Illustrator, choosing the wrong layers. So instead of grouping these two, I want to group these two. And then in the Pathfinder, we choose minus back. That is correct. Now let's look back on our layers panel. We see one path, one group, and one group. So we want the remaining two groups. I hold shift and I select those two. Go back to the Pathfinder, and again, minus back. Now there is a slight glitch, and you can see it when you zoom in. It's these rough edges right here. So I'm going to fix that with the direct select tool. Hover over the point, drag it in. Hover over this point, drag that in. Now it's smooth, much better. So now I'm going to select the whole thing and I want to merge it all together into one. So at this point, there's still this weird, funky sort of shape on the inside, but if I choose Unite in the Pathfinder, everything becomes one. That's what we want. I'm going to Apple Y to get out of that mode. And Apple Y just allows you to see the outlines of the math that you've created. So this is all one piece. So I'm going to change the color. I'd like to see it something more vivid. Pink or orange or red or green or whatever you want. Another interesting thing we can do is to go to Effect, 3D, Extrude Bevel. And you want to turn Preview on over here. I'm going to give it some more depth. Instead of being 50, let's try 150. And now what I can do... No, I didn't like that. So now I can just rotate it in different ways to make it look more interesting. Kind of like that. And here you can mess with how the light affects it. I like a nice contrast. And there you have a 3D infinite loop.